Howdy folks, welcome to episode 4. When we last left off, we were doing some minerals and I'd gotten a whole bunch of these. So here is some of the ingots we got. I've got those converted and I also put the extras. I tend to keep all of my extra stuff in a box of its own, so I try to keep all my minerals together. And then this is, as you can see, I color-coded stuff. So this is equipment, and this is like survival stuff, you know, supplies. And so what I also did was I created 3 extra constructors. When you get so many things to craft, such as doing these ingots, it takes quite a while, and so what you want to do is you want to make extra constructors so that you could do that. Otherwise it takes forever. And so, you know, it's funny because people will complain about the game being grindy because of the mining and stuff, but honestly I find the crafting to be the most time-consuming and unnecessarily time-consuming part of the game. So anyway, here is the garden. I've added in some more plots, and as you can see, planted, and the stuff is growing out while I was crafting because it took forever to craft. So I've got 4 more plots here. So I made these because the stuff that I picked at the beginning of the game is finally expiring, and so it was creating the nutrient solutions that I needed, the spoiled food, so that I could make nutrient solutions. And so here we're going to add our coffee beans and put those on our plots. Okay, and we'll let those grow. And so what you can do is with the coffee beans, you can use those in the food processor and you can make coffee, and then you can use those with the whatchamacallit. You can add those to the other thing, and I can't remember what they are, the Phoenix Frond, sorry. Phoenix Fronds. And so you can make an adrenaline shot, and I think, yeah, the adrenaline shot here. So it gives you 50 seconds of stamina with no wear out. So you basically, your stamina doesn't run down during that entire time, which is pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we are going to build a hovercraft today. And so the first thing you want to do, and I crafted all this stuff because again it takes forever to craft everything. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to lay down a starter block. And when you lay this down, it's going to be pointing forward. So the hovercraft is going to be pointing in the direction we're facing right now. That's the front. Okay, the other thing you want to do is you want to make sure to keep your hover engine at the very front. Okay, underneath is the hover engine. You want to keep that at the very front of the ship because here, let's get these out of here first, because the hover engine determines where the ship looks at the ground to see how high it is off the ground, where it hovers from. So that's the hover point right there. So what you want to do is you want to keep that at the very front of the ship when you build it, because then when you're running into things like hills, you'll actually raise up instead of the front of the thing, the front of the ship ramming into the the ground before you get there. So here we go. We'll put the cockpit on here, and these are the necessary components that you need. You need a cockpit, you need a fuel tank, and a generator, just like the, whoops, let's see, we're gonna go on that axis. Sorry, they changed the keys on me, so I'm not used to them. Just like on the base, you also need the fuel tank and the generator. It's pretty much on everything in order to go. The other thing you need on a hovercraft is you need an RCS, which is the reaction control system. It's what turns your ship. So you can't turn, you can thrust, but you can't turn without that. And then I'm going to put the core back here so it's a little bit better protected, although the fuel tank is exposed right here, so I suppose that doesn't make quite as big of a difference. And so the other thing we need on here is thrusters, and on a hovercraft you need a thruster in each of the 4 directions. You don't need one going up and down, but you do need thrusters that go back and forth. So we'll put this one here, and let's see. Sorry. There we go. We're going to put one going that way, and we're going to put one going this way. So now we have a thruster in each of our 4 directions. So if we put fuel in this thing, did I bring fuel with me? Of course I didn't. So if we put fuel in that thing, it'll actually go. And I can go grab that in a second, but first I'm going to put cargo boxes on here so that when we're out doing stuff we can store our things. And I'm going to put an ammo box on here. And the reason I use these trusses on the bottom is because it doesn't weigh quite as much, and so it comes in handy. Your hovercraft will perform a little bit better when it's lighter, so that's why I'm doing that. And I've also got a minigun turret here that I want to, whoops, and I don't want to put those on my hotbar. I've got a minigun turret that I want to put on here. So the ammo box holds the ammo for the minigun for your turrets. So you're going to put your ammo into there, otherwise you can't use your turrets, which is kind of annoying. So on the front, what I want to do, usually what I do is, let's see if we have a concave piece. I'm going to try this, and let's see, we'll go this way. Yeah. So we have concave pieces, and we can use these. I'm going to try to stylize this ship and go like this. And the other thing you can do is you can place an axis. So you hold down the N key, you select which plane you want, and I want the YZ, and that's going to mirror everything I do on this side onto the other side. So when I put these blocks on here, as you can see, it puts them on the other side. So it helps speed up your building time. So the other thing, I'm going to put a corner here, and let's see. Let's see here. Okay. Sorry, I am not used to this. I'm still not used to the building system yet, so forgive me for taking a little bit on that. I have those other keys are so ingrained in my head as to how to do those. Okay. And so we're going to do this, and supposedly it doesn't use 2 blocks now, and let's see, we have 80, 79, good. Now you can build on the axis and it doesn't waste those blocks. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll probably invert that. Let's see. I can invert this and maybe make it look like a wing. We'll see how this looks. And we can try it out. So we'll go back to the green axis and here. And we'll take this one here as well. And actually I think we can leave that on the back because I don't want to cover up the thruster just for visual purposes. It's not mandatory that you leave them exposed, but I kind of wanted to leave them, and actually I might do that here too. So I will take out this piece and this piece and put in that and that, and probably pull this one out too. Okay, so we can leave that thruster exposed, kind of. I don't know. We'll see how that looks. And we'll put this on here, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Probably should have just taken it out on the other side. Okay. So now we can paint. So let's see. I want to make this thing blue because I like blue. And so we can paint, and I don't think the painting, I know it used to not paint symmetrically, and I'm guessing it doesn't do it still. Yeah, it still doesn't paint across the symmetry axis. And the other thing I want to do is apply the whole block. So I can paint the whole block instead of that, and so I'm going to paint this whole thing blue. Okay, and as you can see, you can paint the cockpit and the engines and the ammo boxes and everything in your favorite colors now. It used to be that you couldn't do that. And I'll also turn off the symmetry axis so we can see here. Okay, and I think we need one more here and one more here. Should have done that before I turned off the symmetry axis. Okay. Alright, so now we have our basic hovercraft, and I should probably put a spotlight on that too. And I'm going to put some stuff up here so that we can reach, or so that we can, not reach, so that we can put our, let's see, where do I want to put this minigun turret? I can actually just put it there, but then I think it's going to be shooting my ammo box. So I'm going to raise it up one, and we'll put this here, and we'll put our minigun turret on top here. Okay, and let me paint this up. I wonder if you can paint the minigun. Yep, you can paint the minigun too. And I'm sure I'll end up doing some more color on this because this looks just ridiculous. As it is, it's just all blue. But yeah, let me go grab some fuel and we will come and test this out. I'll be right back. Okay guys, we are back and I've got the fuel and I threw a spotlight on the front. So this thing should be good to go. Huh, it powered up on its own too. Okay, so what we want to do is you hit V and go to your external view, and hopefully that will let us, yep. Okay, so you're going to hold down the space bar once you get into this thing. If you look over here, the hover height is 0.8. You want to hold down the space bar and that will bring up your hover height all the way up to 3 meters so that you don't hit so many obstacles, because you don't want to run into stuff with this. And this is a little sluggish because I only have just the one thruster in each direction, so you probably will want to add more thrusters in whatever directions in each direction. And with a hovercraft you generally want to keep it the same on each axis so that you don't end up with lopsided. The controls get a lot more difficult that way. Now the hovercraft is useful for relatively flat and some mountains. It depends on the hovercraft build that you do. And one thing that you want to do is if you want to do over mountains and stuff, you want to build your own, because as you can see on this one, when the hill starts going up, the hovercraft starts raising. And if you import this from a blueprint, what's going to happen is it's going to recenter the location of the hover engine, or where it thinks the hover engine is, to the middle between the front and the back of the ship. And the result is that your ship runs into hills, the nose runs into hills before you get to them and stuff. So as you can see in this little cutout here, you can see the difference between the two. The one was imported and the other one was just built. So if you want to use a hovercraft and to have it not screw up on you, then and be able to go over hills and that kind of thing, then you want to build it in the game instead of importing it from a blueprint. And in my opinion, the game is just a lot more fun when you build stuff in it, but that's just me. I like building stuff. So the other thing I want to do here is probably turn off the turret, because the minigun turret is wanting to attack stuff, and it's wanting to attack that because it thinks it's a predator. So and yeah, I don't want it wasting ammo on that stuff while I'm just flying around exploring. So let's see if I can fit between these two trees. And the other thing that you can do with a hovercraft is if you hit shift and space at the same time, it will boost. And so it will lift you way up in the air so you can get over some of the other obstacles, which helps. And as you notice, when you come down, sometimes your hover height will be lowered, so you want to watch out for that. And the other thing is, if your hovercraft ends up upside down, you can hit the shift key and it will boost you up and lift you back up. Now am I sitting on the water? No, I am going over the water. Okay, it just looked like I was sitting on the water for some reason. So the biggest thing with the hovercraft is it's great for going over water and relatively flat terrain. So you can actually, on a planet like Akua, you can explore quite a bit with the hovercraft, and you don't have to use so much fuel. It's great for going out mining, and it can defend itself from drones and that kind of thing when you're mining, which is pretty handy. So it helps that you can also see the drones coming on the radar as well, which is a good thing now. That used to not be the case. That's a relatively new development in the game, so it's very handy now to be able to see them. But it can help you defend. You can sit in the turret and shoot at stuff in a little bit more safety, especially if it's like plant monsters and stuff, because they won't actually attack the ship itself. So if you're sitting in the turret, you're actually kind of safe from them. And the other thing that you want to know about ships right now is that the cockpit exit is now, for those of you who have been playing for a while, it used to be that when you'd exit the cockpit, you'd exit at whatever point you entered. And so, oh, there's a spaceport. So wherever you got into the ship is where you'd get out. As you can see here, I'm on the top of the cockpit. So if I get out of the ship and I come in from the side, I'm still going to come out on the top. So no matter where you enter the ship, you now get out on the top, which is actually very handy for making sure that, like, when you stop and you want to shoot something like this thing. Okay, I want to shoot this guy, and so I'm not getting out of the ship on the ground. And I probably want to get back into the ship because he's going to run underneath me. He's now going to chase me because I aggroed him. So, anyway, guys, that's the hovercraft. That's how you build the hovercraft, and I'm going to go explore around the planet and map some of this stuff out. And I'll see you guys in episode 5, where Hurley and I are going to get together and we're going to go attack some of these Epsilon things, or at least one of them anyway. We'll go take out a POI and see how that works. So join me in episode 5, and we will see you then. Later.